Dumb Dirt Guy here. I'd like to tell you a story about a fishing trip that I took with two good friends of mine back in the early 80s, about 84, something like that. At any rate, we went out, we set out to go fishing all night and into the next day. And we were going after rockfish or blues. We were going to take a bunch of soft crab and some chum and see what we could come up with. I had an old Glastron bow rider with 100 horsepower Johnson on the back, and I was in charge of the boat and the gas. Mike, good friend of mine, he turned out to be a preacher later. He was in charge of the bait and the chum. Vinny, who was a pretty cool dude, good friend of mine, he he was a leather jacket. He rode an old antique hardtail, and he was in charge of the weed and the beer. So we get out on a Friday evening. We had planned this thing like 2 weeks. Mike brings a trash can full of faces, and when you clean a soft crab, you cut the face off, you cut the double out, and you cut the apron off and all. He somehow got quarts and quarts of this shit, and he also got a whole bunch of soft crabs. His father wheeled a deal with somebody on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, and got all this. So we go out there, and the sun is just starting to set, and the wind picked up, and the waves picked up, and that bow rider of mine, that center window, the hinge was broke, and so like every now and then the window would fall out of it, and I'd have to put it back in. So we're out there, and it's getting dark, and the waves are getting pretty bad. You know, they're like 4 foot now, and it's like, I'm a 16-foot boat, 16 and a half, some shit like that. And so we try to go into the port on the Eastern Shore side. There's a port right by Chesapeake Bay Bridge, and the light was out, and I almost ran the damn boat up onto the rocks. I had to jump out of the boat and push it off, and the waves are crashing like Ocean City. I mean, it was crazy. So we got the boat back out, and I threw the anchor, and we are just rocking with the waves. So Vinny, he kicks his feet back. I said, "Boys, we're here for the night. I'm not going to try to get back into that port again. We're here for the night. So we're toughing this shit out." So Mike brought a little lantern type Coleman thing. So he takes his coat and he lights this lantern thing, and it's a little bit chilly. And he goes over top of it and just kind of bends over on it. I don't know how he got through the night without dying, because of fumes or whatever. And Vinny just crossed his feet in the back and started riding it out that way. And I turned and I looked up, and it was a full moon, and the wind, the way that the moon shined onto the bay, and the way that the wind was blowing at the moon, and the white caps were all headed. It was like everything was headed at the moon. And I turned and I said, "This is your fault. This is all you, and we're going to deal with this all night long. But in the morning, we catch fish." So the next morning finally did come, after hours and hours of that boat pounding on them waves and that dumbass window falling out, and me having to put the window back in, and just a horrible night. So now we can see. So we motor in real fast into that port on the Eastern Shore side of the bridge, and we tie up at the dock, and Vinny just gets out and starts walking, and he starts going, "Coffee." And he's just walking. He don't know where the hell he's going. Nothing's open, and he just starts walking up this gravel road. And I'm like, "Vinny, where are you going? There there ain't nothing here. This is it. When this place opens, we can get. I gotta get coffee. I gotta get coffee. I'm Jesus Christ. That night, I gotta get coffee. Well, a dock master um, and this young kid came in right about that time, and they saw us, and he looked at us, and he was like, "You guys look like you have gone through hell," and it was like, yeah, kind of, pretty much. And then he's like, "Coffee, I need coffee." So the kid went in and made us a pot of coffee. Didn't even charge us for it. Made us a pot of coffee, brought us out coffee in this thermos and some cups, and we sat there and drank our coffee and everything. Kind of got our shit together. Uh, Went out to like after everything calmed down. We went out to like Pilot 21 or 24, something like that, and we started dropping lines out there. Mike starts throwing chum all around the boat and everything. And next thing you know, start seeing these heads and tails all around us. The water's just tearing up. I mean, it's just chewing it up. And we start just reeling in these snapper blues. And Mike had brought all these quarts of soft crab face and all that stuff, and the soft crabs, all in a big Rubbermaid trash can. You had a trash can in the middle of the boat. And so we start running out of the chum, and the trash can's filling up with fish. I mean, it's just filling up. And it gets to the point to where we run out of bait. And I'm literally picking these snapper blues up out of the trash can and squeezing the bellies and grabbing the soft crab or anything out of their mouth that I can get, and we're putting it on a hook, and you drop it in the water and damn things were taking off with it. And we fished for hours. So it got to where I was just too tired to fish. I didn't want to catch any more fish. I was done. I didn't want to catch no more. I mean, these things we're pulling in, they're only like, 2 pounds. Maybe the bigger ones were 3. Smaller ones were a pound and a half, something like that. But it was just so many of them. So this trash can's about full, and I pulled my line up. I said, I'm done, and I'm making a sandwich, and I got a beer out, and I told Vinny, roll up a joint, and so he rolls this joint, and Mike says, how many fish we got? So I said, I don't know. Let me count. So I start pulling fish out and throwing them on the deck, counting them. It's 79 bluefish. And Vinny lights the joint and hands it to me, and he goes, well, guess we ought to make it an even 80, and throws his line over. And the snappers had all calmed down. There wasn't, we're not chumming anymore. I mean, we don't really have anything. We could have cut up blues and used them, I guess. But he throws it out there, and he catches one. And he kind of swings it up into the boat, and I said, I'll take it off for you, Vinny. And I grabbed the blue, and the blue had swallowed the hook. And I was like, son of a bitch, he swallowed the hook. So I'm kind of pulling on this metal leader, and I'm looking down this blue, and it's like the hook is hooked onto something else that's in his digestive system, and it's all acting like a big rubber band. It's going, rah, 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 and I'm like, what the hell? And that snapper blue chopped his jaw like that, and that hook came off of whatever the hell it was on, came up and went right through my lip, and the barb came out my lip, and I'm standing there. I got this huge straw hat on it was my grandfather's old fishing hat. I have his old fishing hat on. I got a joint in my hand. I got 80 blues in my boat, and I got a hook in my mouth. So I'm kind of yanking on it. It didn't hurt. I'm yanking on it, and I'm like, man, this is bullshit. I don't know, and I can't see it. And everybody's like, hey, don't pull on that, You're gonna fuck your lip up, and you're gonna do this, do that. And I'm like, huh. So, I'm like, okay, we gotta get this out. There's no way I'm going back to my dock with 80 blues in the boat and a hook in my mouth. I'm not. That's not happening. That is not going to happen. So we start idling around from boat to boat, asking people if they got any wire cutters, and I'm holding a rag on my mouth, and people are like, wire cutters, and then I would go, I got a hook, and they would all freak out. Oh God, I ain't got a wire cutter. God, get away from me, get away from me. And then finally, we went up to this old man, and he had two young kids, a boy and a girl, in the boat, and they were teenagers, and they were fishing out of this rowboat. I mean, it was just a little ass rowboat, and he had this little tackle box sitting on one of the seats, and pulled up to him and said, you know, then he says to him, "Sir, do you have any wire cutters?" And he says, "Wire cutters? What you need wire cutters for?" Nah, I was having fun freaking people out. So I pulled the thing down and I said, "I got a hook in my mouth. I got to cut the barb off." He stood up in that boat so fast, I thought he was going to flip it. And he gets to, then he gets the wire cutters out, you know, and hands them over to us. And I said, "Mike, cut this damn hook out of my mouth." Mike's like, "I ain't cutting that on you. No, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing it." I said, "Vinny, come on, man. Cut this goddamn hook out of my mouth." And he's like, "I don't know, Keith. Maybe we ought to go to the doctor." You motherfuckers. I can't even believe you're doing this to me. Look, put it on the thing. I'll cut it myself. So they put it underneath the barb, and I'm sitting there with both hands. I finally snapped it, and then I pulled the hook out, and it went thoop, and just closed right up. Closed right up around it. Couldn't believe it. It was like it didn't even have a little dot there. That's it. And so we took and gave the man back his wire cutters, and we thanked him, and we told him, you know, over by I think it was pile 24 or 21, one of the two. Said over by that pile, and we were having really good luck with blues, and he thanked us, and he was just looking at me like, wow, that was, you know, that's really something, the way that all went down for sure. And we motored on home and cleaned the fish. Now I don't eat too much bluefish, but you know, then this was his first fishing trip, so he was like real excited about it and everything. So we filleted. If you ever filleted bluefish, what a lot of fun that is. We filleted a lot of fish, and then we cut a lot of fish up. We gave fish away like crazy. I mean, it's just, we fried a bunch of them up on a grill and all that, and ended up having a really good time. But that was my favorite fishing trip on the Chesapeake Bay, other than when I caught my first rockfish with my father. But that was definitely my most eventful fishing trip. All right, well, y'all have a good